you will get involved months, sometimes years, before something that you have supported really becomes visible. So, with that in mind, what are you seeing right now? What kind of ideas, models, businesses do you have in the pipeline, something that you are choosing to support right now? You said, Paul, that you're choosing to invest in about 5 out of 500?
Yep.
That's 1% of all opportunities. So you have apparently some pretty strict criteria as to you know what gets that company through the filter. So what does get through the filter?
I mean, for us, we look at a couple things. One, I mean, since we're doing tech companies, we want to make sure that every single team is a very strong technical co-founder. So if you're a business guy, you come to me with an idea, or you're like 5 MBAs, I don't care, you get cut immediately. Another thing I'm looking for is, I mean, every company's going to shift and wiggle, and every single great success story never really started out the way it started. It kind of evolved over time. So I just want to see if you guys are just thinking in the general right direction. I mean, I don't expect it to be 100% refined. Just like, are you thinking this is going to be a good space or potentially a lot of room to grow? And then finally, I mean, we kind of call it the, you know, the asshole test. Like, if you're a mean person and we don't want to hang out with you, and I mean, if we're going to be spending a lot of time with you, I want to make sure I want to hang out with you and that you have really cool qualities that I think I want to be around. And that's just really what it comes down to. If you kind of have a little bit of all 3 of those, then we're interested. And that's, you know, it takes a lot of time to get to those people, but you know, when you find them, you want to hold on to them for dear life and kind of keep them around you as long as you can.
What about you over here in Slovenia?
Well, we have more time to select different companies here. I mean, we basically know pretty much all the companies that approach us. So we have more time, you know, in this due diligence process and everything else. But yeah, I agree 100%. We all invest in people, not technology. So if I look back to our previous investments, one of them failed actually, and the reason why it failed was exclusively the founder, not the market. Okay, it was market downturn and so on, but it was all about the founder there. And why did at least two of the companies did well, and this time was again because of the founders, because the people were right. So we are looking just at the people.
Now, you guys are making bets in many ways. What are you betting on? Like, if someone comes up and says, well, we're going to be the next Facebook for left-handed dog owners who you served in Afghanistan, how will that go along? Or, you know, what is it that you're placing bets on? Or particular industries, particular takes in those industries? You know, is being like someone good or bad? Oliver?
Well, at least from my perspective, and we have done the last 2 years 7 investments personally as a business angel, and there are 2 different types of bet. One is the real bet, where you actually bet in a person and bet in a completely unproven model, but you bet in a new use case that something will take off, like Twitter, or like where the monetization and the whole monetization aspect is really far away, and you just think that is just cool and great and is convincing. So that's one much bigger bet than the other, which, for example, the German-speaking market is very usual. Copycat models, small twists of existing business models, basically taking a new vertical, applying the old eBay or Groupon model to that. So that's another bet, and then it's all about execution, and it's all about having the right 12-month plan going forward, how to really execute against that. And I think from our perspective, we like both models. You can't say copycat is maybe less romantic if you don't do it. So we're not in a romantic business. So there's a model for this type of bet. There's a model for this type of bet. At the end of the day, it's so obvious that it's about people that it's clear.
Dan, what are you betting on?
I mean, we come most probably later in the investment process than my colleagues are coming, so we try not to make bets. Okay, I think that there are enough opportunities not to make bets. What we are trying to do is to grow markets, and we are looking at positive trends that we see in across the globe. And I'm referring here, for example, increasing number of users of internet in China and in India, which drives, for example, the need for additional web services there. E-commerce, it's hot in both China and India. So it's better not to think of it in terms of bets, if you want. We are trying to understand the business. We are spending quite a bit of time, and we are, if you want, this time this kind of investment philosophy, time capsule, in which you invest in businesses that do copycat operations of existing successful businesses in other markets, are something that can be potentially interesting. In the end, what we are looking for is to help users get access to more services across the internet. Basically, we are trying to help them help grow the market sooner than it would otherwise do on its own.
All right. Now, on a very simplistic level, you guys have access to cash. You're the kind of gatekeepers. Like, okay, you're good. Come through. You get the hell out of here. You know, here's some money. You invest in fairly similar. Well, that's an arrogant thing to say, but you all invest in technology-related stuff. Now, there's four of you who all have some money in the back pocket. Now, if I'm an entrepreneur sitting in the fourth row, and you know, you all kind of sound like a good match because you all have some cash, and some of you are bolder than the others. But what else? What else do you bring to the table? Money, yes. I mean, I can get money by robbing a bank, or applying for a loan, or, you know, annoying my relatives enough, or my wealthy neighbor. What does a guy like you bring to the table beyond money? I would assume that there is something extra in there. Anyone?
I guess I'll start. So I kind of mentioned very shortly that part of our investment, we do like a 3-month kind of boot camp. We call it the startup program. And so what we do is we go on, actually, we kind of have this very strict deadline. We kind of take the companies and we kind of beat up on them and make sure we get them in front of a lot of people. So I'll kind of give you a sample week. So first of all, they get to work out of our workspace. We have this kind of really cool community place that like 40, 50 other companies kind of hang out and work out of there. There's actually a coffee shop inside there, so a lot of VCs and angel investors doing meetings out there. But every single Tuesday, it's me and my 4 partners. We sit down with every single company and we do a dinner with them, and we kind of hang out. All the companies also kind of get to hang out with each other. So there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning. And actually, one thing you guys should really learn is that you should open up and share ideas with your fellow kind of entrepreneurs, because you guys will learn a lot from each other by just bouncing ideas off. Every single Wednesday, we do a thing called the VC dinner night. And so we have kind of top-notch VCs from Silicon Valley come in and buy dinner and drinks for all the companies. So last week we had Sequoia Capital come in, 2 weeks ago was Kleiner, a couple weeks from now Benchmark is coming in. So we have all the top 10 guys come in, and you get to meet with these guys and build a relationship with them earlier than later. And this is really important in terms of raising money. It's always good to come in with a warm intro versus like knocking at someone's door and saying, give me money. And then Thursdays and Fridays we reserve for things called office hours. So kind of like, you know, you go to university and your professor's sitting out there and gives you a couple hours, you know, every 2 weeks to come and ask them any questions. We do the exact same thing, but instead of professors, we have entrepreneurs. And so we bring in, you know, guys who start companies like PayPal, YouTube, Dig. I mean, you name almost any big internet company over the last 10 years, we have them coming through the door and hang out with the guys. And this serves as inspiration. You start building relationships, and you can guys ask these guys anything you want in the world, as in, hey, you know, how'd you build this, or what did you do for distribution, or what's your favorite baseball team? And you want to talk about, you know, kind of building relationships. So we kind of open up and get these really young entrepreneurs in front of the best people we know, and it just serves as really good inspiration. That's kind of like our whole model. That's why we, you know, are into business this. And plus, me and my partners were doing this. I mean, we've had some pretty good success, and we've done pretty well. So for us, this is also just a lot of fun, right? So like, we're capitalists, but also we're doing it for other kind of altruistic reasons as well.
Oliver.
Yeah, I think so. This model is a great model, especially. I think it's a great model for the US industry, especially for the Silicon Valley crowd. I lived there. I know the level of sophistication and the level of the sheer mass of talent that is around there, and that's why I think this kind of 3-month bootcamp model works really well. I'm not convinced that it works in Europe, especially not in the markets that are that's not Berlin, London, Paris. Because if, for example, in Austria, you simply do not have this, you do not have hundreds or thousands of people that have that level of experience, that level of talent, that you can really just come up with a good idea, some founders, and then grow from there and find the network, find the customers. It needs more. And that's kind of the proposition that we built our fund around, is that typically, what we've seen in the last years working with startups is that there's a great founder, there's often a great technology, a great team, but then there are big gaps, and they are simply not able to close in a given time and with that limited amount of money that people have in the early stages. So what we are doing is we have a relatively big team, 6, 7 people that all have been in leading positions with startups or tech companies for many years, including an office actually in the Valley, where we have one guy basically doing biz dev for our company. So we take our team, and these guys then go in and take a real operational line position, left or right or behind the CEO, and help that company for a given time. And we've done that now without a fund for 2-3 years, and it was the model that really worked for companies, because Austrian companies have basically typically no access to the Valley, no access to big corporations outside of our market. And there, if we would only have this 3-month program, after that they would still have the same problem. So it needs a bit of a different approach, and that's kind of where we come in with this operational task force, if you want, that will then go out after a year or maybe 9 months, whatever, and build up a real business that can then be later on be put in front of Sequoia, in front of the big VCs in Europe, and really go from there. So it's a combination of work and cash, of course. We're putting in somewhere between 200 and 500,000 euros to give the company these 12 months to be successful. So it's a very different model. Haven't seen it elsewhere, but for us it works.
All right. I met a guy called Matjaž in the bathroom earlier. My mic was switched off. And he's a Slovenian guy. He runs, I think it's a small company right now. They're looking to do big things. Jure, you're Slovenian. What do you bring to Matjaž's table as a potential investor that Dan or Paul or Oliver can't?
Well,
besides speaking the same language.
I don't know if they can't, but I'll surely invite him for our sailing regatta every year. That's the thing that we organize for all our portfolio companies every year, which is one of the, I mean, we see it as part of this ecosystem that we are trying to build here. You know, getting really close to those guys from the portfolio companies, knowing their thinking and so on. But otherwise, our biggest added value here is surely that we are the ones who invest in very early stage. I'm not sure if Matjaž, sorry, I don't know which Matjaž, is quite a frequent name here. He wouldn't be able to raise some money in the Valley if he didn't invest. I mean, raise the money here locally. That's one of the biggest challenges for all the entrepreneurs here. And the second thing is we do not select companies, I mean investments, because we are selecting, of course, but we have to build them first. The level of knowledge here between the entrepreneurs is not such that we could just, you know, pick the best ones, but we have to work with them and we have to develop them to the stage where they're appropriate for the VC investment. Right now is, as many of you probably know, there's a public scheme in Slovenia in place, the government magic scheme. So there are a couple of other VC funds, and they're focused to the earlier stages that we are. And they can be a great pipeline for our fund as well. And we are looking for co-investments with those funds as well, with the other funds and at this panel that we're having today here. But just to bring the companies to that level where they are appropriate partner for us.